Welcome everyone to another edition of the We Are BCSC podcast. Today is a special episode because we get to interview the 2021 BCSC District Teacher of the Year, Stacy Doub from Columbus North. And we're going to talk with her about her journey within BCSC, learn a little bit more about her, and talk about teaching. And hopefully this will be an inspiration to both other teachers in the corporation as well as our families, students within BCSC. Let's go ahead and get started. Stacy, thank you so much for joining us. As we get started, first of all, how did it feel to get announced as the BCSC Teacher of the Year?
It was awesome. It was really, really great. A little overwhelming. I really didn't expect to make it. There are so many very, very talented teachers in BCSC. So when they announced it was me, it was just like, wow. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, it was really cool to be able to have that happen on the teacher day over at North, and to have your family there. That was really neat.
It really was.
Talk a little bit about how you got started in teaching. Why did you choose to go into teaching?
Actually, I think teaching chose me, not the other way around. I got all the way through my undergraduate degree at Purdue, no plans to be a teacher. I was going to be a researcher because I love science. But my senior year in college, I was doing a class and working in a lab for about 40 hours a week on top of my coursework. And I found out that I didn't like being in a lab all the time. And so that, I thought, well, that didn't work out. I don't know I got offered a position to do my master's there, but I said, I don't think that's the best fit for me. So I took an interim job. It ended up being at the School of Education in Bloomington. And all these people were coming in. They were always so excited about teaching. And I had teachers in my family. My grandparents were teachers and met via teaching, actually. So it just kind of crystallized, and I started doing the coursework and fell in love with it. So I really feel I was called. It wasn't that I chose; it chose me.
Oh, that's so cool. And I know you taught for a couple of years at another district before BCSC, and then talk a little bit about that and how long have you been with BCSC and what have you taught?
Well, I taught at Linton Stockton for 2 years, but then I joined BCSC in the fall of 1990, and I've taught science, obviously. I've taught, let's see if I can remember everything, biology, chemistry, physical science, ICP, genetics, advanced biology, and advanced integrated chemistry and physics and regular ICP, integrated chemistry and physics. I think I got everything.
Yeah, so you've taught quite a bit of different subjects within science, the science field. Talk a little bit about some of the moments or the people that have made you the teacher that you are today.
Well, I think there are a lot of people. First of all, my mom. My mom always really just was so happy that I chose teaching and was my number one fan. But also my family has given me so much support. It takes a special kind of family to help your teacher because their teachers work so many hours and are always going in and out of school and working on the weekends and go to the store. So their support has been wonderful. But I've got to say, I've learned so much from the teachers at Columbus North. My department chair, Denise Briner, I've learned so much from her. I've learned so much from the other science department science department members, I mean to say. But I was also had the privilege of being part of the HIP program for 12 years. And I learned stuff from the teachers in that program, like Dennis Lindsay and Tom King and Susie Lax, Laura Rich. I learned a lot from them also. So there were, what can I say? I find good ideas I see other teachers doing and I steal them. And there's been so many moments over the years where I've seen a teacher doing something and thought, I want to do that in my classroom.
Yeah, That's really cool. And I've heard Mr. Lindsay's name. We do a question of the week. And one of the questions one week was talk about your favorite teacher. And Mr. Lindsay came up quite a bit. So that's neat to hear his name as well. Over your time at BCSC, what are some of the moments that stick out to you as, those are some great times at BCSC.
Well, you know what? This is going to probably sound weird, but when we were all teaching remotely and we were together last year, I think we really bonded as a science department because we came together to figure out how to get past all the barriers there were between us and our kids and really worked at that and shared ideas. And so even though it was a very challenging time, it's probably going to be one of my most memorable times over the years. Other than that, a while back, I coached Science Olympiad and we went to state a couple of times. So those were really memorable times watching those kids work so hard and then go to state competition and do well there and seeing them get medals. Besides that, it's just being with the kids. I love the students when you blow up a hydrogen balloon and they all jump in their seats or you see that light bulb go off when they've gotten something, when they figured out what a mole really means, because that's a difficult concept. But when you see that light bulb go off and it's just like, that's the whole reason to teach, honestly, is to see them get there. Those are the best ones.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I'm glad to hear that, you've had, I'm sure, several of those light bulb moments, especially teaching in chemistry. I remember I had one of the great BCSC teachers, Mr. Young, over at Columbus East was mine. Mr. Young was, he was such a patient teacher. And I'm sure you've been very patient as you're trying to teach kids chemistry. Some kids really get it and other kids, it's a struggle like myself. But something else that I was thinking about as you were just talking was you mentioned COVID brought your staff together. I'm sure, for many of us who are listening, watching this episode, COVID in this time will be something that we'll remember forever. What are some of the lessons that you learned through that have, gotten you through, that you're taking from that time to continue to make you the best teacher you can be?
Well, I think the biggest is communication. And when you're talking about communicating with your kids remotely, you have to try every avenue you can to get to them. So, if you send them messages, if you record videos, if you email them, you have Google Meets, you just have to try every single avenue there is because, you don't know what's going on at the other end. So and you have to be very persistent. But also you've got to think flexibly. I can't do the labs I did with the kids. Is it feasible to get videos of the labs, or should I try a different total direction with that concept? What are other people thinking about that? Can we work together to come up with the best idea to get through to our kids what we're trying to teach them? So communication, flexibility, and just, knowing that it's not the same old, and having to adjust, and just, if you just say, okay, this is the way it is, I've got to figure out how to do it and just go for it.
Yeah, that's so true. And as I was just listening to you say that, I thought about, our mission and vision statements and talking about helping to prepare all learners for, the complex challenges and things that they will encounter. And obviously we weren't talking about COVID when we came up with that, but that's been something we've had to do to be flexible, to be agile, it sounds like you really tried to meet students where they were at because you couldn't do the same things. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. I did my best to find out where they were at. And sometimes that meant just, sending them out a Google survey and say, hey, what's going on with your life? What's working for you? So that I could make adjustments and fit their needs better.
Oh, very good. Well, as we think about being a teacher within BCSC, It's very encouraging to me. I just read a recent newspaper article about all the new teachers that we have this year because of some ESSER funding, but also, thinking of the future next year when maybe somebody's watching this and they're becoming part of BCSC because they've just graduated or they're transferring in. What are some words of advice that you might give, a new teacher at BCSC to help them thrive and be the best teacher they can be?
Well, the first thing they need to do is find a mentor, whether it's, a formal arrangement or an informal arrangement, but to find an older teacher or a teacher that's been around a while and maybe even sit in on some of their classes and see how they handle the class, what they do. Take a look at their classrooms. How do they have them organized? And most of all, what ideas can you steal? Don't recreate the wheel. There's a lot of good stuff out there. And so ask for help. Say, hey, I've got to teach density. What density labs do you do? What have you found successful over the years and what have you not? And at the end of the day, you've really got to do a little bit of reflection. Did that work for the kids? Did I see all the kids engaged? Did I see some kids engaged, not others? How could I rework it for next time so that I have a higher level of engagement? So I think that's key. But communicate with the members of your department, form those friendships, and steal those ideas.
Love it. Love it. Hey, before we go, would love to know, throughout your time in BCSC, you've seen, things come and go. You've seen technology, integrated into education more than ever before. You've seen a lot of changes.
Yep.
But what would you say is your favorite part about BCSC, or what makes BCSC special to you?
Well, I think it's the people. It's the staff and the faculty and the people. And honestly, I think the students at North and BCSC have got to be the greatest students anywhere. I've learned a lot from them. So I think that's what's really, really special. And I think also we have this UDL focus, which I think is perfect because we are trying to figure out how we can make learning accessible to every student and take down those barriers. So, we have this committed, talented staff that knows how to make it work, teaches how to make it work to other teachers, and the students are engaged in their learning. So it all works together.
Awesome. Well, hey, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. I know you're doing this during your prep period right now and taking some time to talk about the things that you've learned in your time at BCSC. And I hope that people that are watching and listening will be inspired, whether they're fellow teachers or also family members, that we've got some great staff members, including our BCSC Teacher of the Year, Stacy Doub. Thank you so much for your time, Stacy.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, BCSC, for those of you who are listening and watching, we will be celebrating Stacy at an upcoming school board meeting. Also, I hope that you'll take the time to watch her getting surprised. We recorded a video of her being announced as a Teacher of the Year, so make sure to tune into that. And we'll see you next time on the We Are BCSC podcast. See you soon.